Ani, Buzo, Wabamangan and Dishnikas, Sudbury and Dojaba, Ajijak and Dodam. Greetings, my name is James Bolan. I work with Mountain Wessing North Shore Community Health Services. I provide addiction and mental wellness counseling in the Mental Wellness and Minimizing Program for North Shore Community Health Services. Provide services in Mississauga First Nation, Serpent River First Nation, Sagamuk Anishinaabe First Nation, and Atikameksheng Anishinaabe First Nation. I'm here today to talk a little bit about this COVID-19 pandemic and some of the struggles that we're experiencing. The first thing that I'd like to do to start is to acknowledge and to give thanks for all the people out there, the people within Wessing that work to and go to work daily and continue to go to the front line, and I just want to acknowledge them and admire them for being the true warriors that they are and continuing to provide services in the communities to our community members. I say Chimigwech for all that you do. And for all of the other staff at Mount Wessing, I want to say Chimigwech for all that you're doing. And as well, I think there's a lot of people out there to thank for all the things that are being done to make sure that we have the provisions that we need to be able to stay healthy. First responders that go out and continue to take care of situations that arise out there in the public. People that are driving trucks, operating in the stores, the people, the cashiers, like everybody that's doing their part, and the people that are honoring and obeying them new laws with the social isolation, the 6 meter distance rule. I think that that's really important that you're doing that, and I give my thanks and my gratitude for you doing that. I say Chimigwech. I wanted to talk a little bit about recovery and addictions. And if you're in recovery from addictions, or maybe dealing with your own mental health struggles and well-being, this self-isolation that currently has been placed upon us, it can be quite unbearable and quite overwhelming. It can result in experiencing fears of the virus, fears of the unknown, fears of the future, fears of even getting through this day. I really appreciate a teaching that Brian Nuchitai Sr. gave to me about my medicine wheel and about the visiting of that fear as a doorway and acknowledging it and making it a spirit helper and helping me to come back to the center of my wheel and to celebrate my humanness, and helping me to know what to do next with that fear and look at what I can resolve and what are my next steps and what I can do for myself and my own well-being to ensure that I'm honoring my humanness. For me, that was powerful. It's a powerful teaching, and it's a powerful visual for me. And I say Chimigwech Brian for that teaching. For people in early recovery from addiction, you'll be familiar with the dedication that it takes to build that structure in your life, that all-important structure that helps you to make sure that you're building that foundation and that strength that are important to you being able to alleviate the possibility of relapse, or maybe the deterioration of mental health or the regression of that. That structure is so important. With COVID-19 coming about, and with all of these new isolation strategies that are in place, that's been quite disruptive to what we've come to know as being social and being able to go where we want, when we want. We've now have some unexpected and unanticipated difficulties and obstacles in maintaining the structure that we once had. So we have to look at rebuilding that structure. And we have to ask ourselves, what can we do in this situation? I believe it's an optimal time for us to tap into and exercise our gifts, the gifts that we have, our creativity, channel our energy, look at the abilities that we have and use them to restructure and redefine that structure that is so important to, relapse prevention and to our well-being. We have to build it in sync with our desires to continue abstinence, to continue making sure that our mental wellness is in a good state, and that we achieve a balance in that. The other thing that goes on with structure, and that's really important in relapse prevention, is that idle time, boredom, those periods of time when you don't have anything to do. It's often referred to as the devil's playground. The devil's playground because that's where a lot of negative thoughts or old ways of thinking that bring you back to what you know to be familiar and can really take away from your ability to stay in the moment, and to, continue to practice your recovery and your sobriety. One of the other things that's really important in not just recovery, but in life in general, is being connected. Being connected to the people that you love, that you care for, that care for you, friends, family, support systems that you might have. We might not be able to physically be with the people that we're used to being with, but we have some pretty remarkable technology today that we really should make use of to keep that communication open so that we can maintain that sense of togetherness. We human beings, we're social beings, and connecting is paramount in our lives, and it gives us that sense of belonging that is so important. The other thing is Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous have both put a lot of effort, and they've been quite instrumental in being able to make sure that group sessions still occur online. And they're not the only ones. There's a lot of other supports out there, and I encourage you to Google them, to take advantage of the different types of support services out there, as well as AA and NA, if those are two groups that you've become accustomed to attending and that are important and a part of your structure to ensure your recovery is maintained. I wanted to talk about an elder that I've met a while back, but I talked to last week in one of the communities, and she was talking to me about that sense of fear she had with this pandemic, and how initially she felt it, and then she noticed in her community, since the restriction to access was put in place, and people from outside the community weren't coming into the community anymore, and then she was recognizing how grateful she was for the fact that women, young ladies, are no longer being the targets of people that would be driving around the reserves, people that they didn't know, and people that, she thought were people that could cause harm and bring a lot of, that all too well-known abuse to people that are vulnerable. And she was really grateful for that the young women are safe in community. That's how she felt, and she was really grateful for that. And she also identified that she saw people walking around holding hands, and she saw more and more of that, and she was so grateful for that. And then she talked about wondering what it must have been like before colonialization, and before, that connection to the land was so abruptly ripped away in a really adverse and disturbing way by the colonizers. And she reminisced about the beauty of being connected to Mother Earth, and how beautiful that must have been, and how tranquil it must have been during that time to have lived in peace without those interruptions. And for me, that was a powerful teaching, and a good reminder of hope. And in spite of the things that are going on in terms of this pandemic, she was able to see light and able to have gratitude. And it just comes to me about being open-minded to the possibilities that exist that are good in spite of the difficulties that are being presented with this pandemic. And it reminds me that there's always hope. And being that there's hope, my belief is that we will recover. We'll all recover from this. For me, myself personally, I like to focus on gratitude. I like to think that my focus determines my reality, and I focus on gratitude because for me it's satiating, it's fulfilling, and my day starts with helping to make sense out of what doesn't seem to be so believable in terms of this whole pandemic. But my day, when I begin, I give thanks for that first breath that I take, and I give thanks for the people that I've met, the spirits, the beautiful people that have come into my life, into my path. I give thanks for Mother Earth and for the water and the sky, and Mother Earth for giving me everything that I need to sustain my life and to live and to be here. And I give thanks for the universe and for all my brothers and sisters that are in the animals that walk on the earth and in the soils and below the earth and in the water, the fish that swim, and all of the birds that fly in the sky. Gratitude, for me, is the grounding. More than a grounding, it helps you to make sense of the unsensible, but it fulfills me. So it's important for me, and that's how I normally start my day, and I continue throughout that to recognize that gratitude implies an action. So implying an action means for me, so if I'm feeling gratitude for all this and the fact that I have this beautiful, awesome gift of life, how do I show that? I show it by continuing to be good to myself, by having that structure, by making sure that my well-being is taken care of, that I exercise my mind, my body, and my spirit. I remember and I practice being kind and generous and compassionate with people that I meet, as well as to myself, to continue being kind to me. I think that's imperative and important. Those are some of the ways that I show that. The other thing I like to remember is what an elder told me once of how important self-talk is and how important it is to your overall well-being, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I like to continue to practice that because it's vital for me to remember that I matter, and that I am significant, and that I'm a sacred creature that Creator has created. And He's gifted me with this life. And for that gift, there's an onus on me to give back and to do something honorable with that life, to be of service, to be fulfilled in it. We at Mount Morsing, we're here to provide counseling and support services to our community members. And I encourage you to contact us at the numbers listed on the Mount Morsing website. And please know that you're not alone, and you don't have to go it alone. You matter, and your life has meaning, and it has purpose. Chimigwech, and bon appetit.